Now, I guess the question is, should I be sitting while I present so that the screen can be seen better?
Well,
The screen.
the screen is,
Oh, so it's,
you're just.
gotcha, I'm a little
in the
window.
corner.
I'm a little window. Short. Okay. All right. So who knows what RAG is? Anyone know what RAG actually is? All right. You guys all do. Well, we're not going to actually do it tonight is the thing. Hopefully that'll be worthwhile. We are going to go through a real simple code connection to an LLM. I'm not going to code it. I'm going to show you connection to LLM. Then we're going to update that to what's called CAD, content augmentation, and then retrieval augmentation. Talk about differences and why you would want to do different things.
Wouldn't the C for cache?
What'd you say?
Wouldn't the C for cache? Cache?
Cache. I always take cache, yes.
Yeah.
No, cache or content. I have it as content, not cache. But I do take cache, yes. All right, so the first thing I want to mention, because this is kind of maybe potentially pitching a future talk, is that LLM is a bit of an old term now, right? Everyone's using large language models, but no one's using just large language models anymore, right? They have a lot more to them than just LLMs to solve problems. Remember ChatGPT like 2? And it was like, the information, it was amazing, you could talk to it, but it didn't know anything beyond 9 months ago. Remember when we were in that phase, right? It was like, oh goodness. Well now, Grok will go out and just search web pages for me, find answers to things, Grok 4. They use a lot of tools. They have special calculators, checklists, etc. Right now, they will deny this term. I think both of them deny it, but I think LLMs have limitations, right? They have a certain data set that can't go beyond it. They're not very good, for example, at building or interpreting graphs or spreadsheets. They're awful at spreadsheets. So they now have tools that are designed to be able to put data in, pull data out of or into spreadsheets. So they're becoming the term, well, okay, mail in data set, where is it here? Agentic agents, right? And so what's happening in the LLM world, and this term, I think it initially had one meaning, which was, oh, I have a calculator and I have a list processor and I have this and that and the other thing, to it's moving into another term, I forget what it is, where they have tools that can specifically go out and send emails and read emails on your behalf and things like that, right? It's a different term for that. But I think there's probably a worthwhile talk. That looks awful.
Yeah.
Wow.
AI generated memes.
No, this actually looks great on my screen. It's perfect. Is there a reason it looks like that?
It's downscaling the color depth, but.
Must be something, yeah, I guess so, because.
But I look normal through my glasses
Okay. So what I want to do first here is I want to go ahead and pause here and jump over here to cursor and drag cursor up here. I already have it big for you guys. Well, actually, wow. Okay, so what I have on this site is a React site, right? So I'm gonna fire this up and probably, okay, I gotta pull this over here as well. Okay, so this is what it's gonna look like, right? It's a little front end that needs a back end. So what we're gonna do is we need the same front end for all of the requests, and then we'll just change the back end that's running underneath. So simple enough. And the question, I had a question, I've now forgotten it. Oh, I know. Okay. How important, did I do it right? How important is the Scrum Master? Okay, that's the question we're gonna ask. So let's go over here, and over here, yeah, this is the XAI server. So this is really simple stuff here. Should I reduce the size to get more on the screen, or is that a good size for you guys?
You can.
Okay. Okay, so, in any case, what we have here is just an Express server, some types up top, right? A health endpoint, and here's the endpoint. Requires a question, requires a key, and then you're going to get some console logs down here to see what's going on.
Text editor is good enough.
And then I'm going to talk about some of these things here. So, how many of you guys have queried AI? Have you hit the APIs for AI before? Okay, you probably know this already, right? But for the people out there who may not know this, just say this. There are a couple of different roles that you can send messages to, right? Normally, you're going to send something just to the user. This is your question, right? This is what whoever typed something in asked. But you're also going to want some things to go to system. And that's just where a lot of what happens in these augmentation, a lot of it happens at the system level. So if we take this variable augmentation and look, it's going to be something really simple. Where is it? It's no longer fourth grade. That was too frustrating. Where is it?
It's your master prompt, which says don't use any swear words in your output.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't use any
So what we have here is reply using the first person only and provide technical explanations suitable for experienced software engineers. Keep your response to exactly 2 paragraphs. So you can shape the response coming back, and that's what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and start this up. Over here, and we'll ask this question. I don't have this like paying extra credits to be extra fast, so it'll take a couple seconds here. But we're going to get an answer back that will be for engineers. That will be through Grok and 2 paragraphs. What we've asked for. So here's our. It's a pivotal role, right? We're working with teams. Sprint planning, stand-ups, retrospectives, reviews, right? So this is pretty straightforward stuff, right? The answer. So now, let us go over to here. I want to start the next slide and hit play. All right. So now, what is content augmentation? So content augmentation says, let's say I work for a hospital system and I'm building their website. And I want a chat bot on the website, right, that's going to answer people's questions. Well, we pretty much know that people's questions are probably going to be the kind of things that can be answered by a complete list of all the doctors and all their specialties and all the information on the website. So you take all of that stuff, put it into a bundle, and write all the contents of the website here, and you're going to send it a bundle of information every time you make a request. Here's the information you need to answer its question, right? Now, big downside here. Oh, let's show it first. Actually, let me see. Get to my cute. Right, so that's the idea, right? We're gonna narrow it down to a narrower group of information. So let's take a look at that instead. Go ahead.
And you could do that very expensively by customizing the training of your LLM model. Like you could retrain it on your corpus of
Yep.
information and then in the prompt say only use the stuff from this website, but you can't ask ChatGPT, you know, based on the public website, only answer questions from that. And especially you can't do this like based on the private website, internal private data, only answer
Yeah.
questions from that private data.
So you
And the
gotta-
training process is expensive.
Training on the process takes a lot of juice. And so this is where RAG is probably the best solution. That's why I'm heading for it. Right? So let's,
So this first one, we're basically taking all this website data and dumping it into the, I'll say, context window
Yes.
of the LLM, right? And then
yeah, so, I'm not gonna, because here's the downside of CAG. It works. It's great.
Depends on how big your website is.
Yes. And think about this. You're paying per token of input and per token of output, right? So if you give it, we'll get there. Let's just show you guys. So let me pull this up here. I'll go up to the CAG site and we will look at source and server. So the difference here, we have the same context here, right? And then we have a file, it's probably way up at the top somewhere.
AgilePrinciples.txt right there.
Yeah,
28.
line 28. There you go. Yeah, exactly. So we're basically opening this file up and we're taking that file, and let me just show you really quick what that file looks like. This is the Agile Principles website. There are 12 principles, right? So this is probably a pretty good example of maybe why you want to use CAG. Right? I've got you get 20 million credits of input, cost you 20 cents, I think, or something like that. So 20 million words cost you 20 cents. So it's not going to cost you a ton to shove this up every single time, right? Not going to kill you. So, so ultimately, all we're doing here is, I should have pulled the core part out to a separate file. It would have been easier here. Yeah, so if you look here at what we're sending the system, we're still just sending the user's question under user, but over here we're asking the same thing. Two things. We're saying context. Here are the agile principles that should guide the response. And we're dumping out that agile principles, and then we have the other one which says, you're talking to a bunch of engineers, answer them like an engineer and give you 2 paragraphs. Right? So that's what we're augmenting with now is the agile principles. So if I'll go ahead and run this one and ask the same question again. You're going to know all kinds of, you're going to probably see something in there about building teams around motivated people. You're going to see all this stuff that comes in here. Look at this, focus on delivering working software frequently. Right, that's directly out of the thing. So what you're seeing here is we have now flavored the response very strongly with those 12 principles. Now, let's go to the interesting part of the talk. Not that this isn't interesting, I suppose, but okay, so RAG. What is RAG ultimately? It's similar to CAG in that we're augmenting the request. But what if you have 20 gigabytes of data that you might potentially want to augment the request with, right? You deal with. So you have to be able to retrieve a subset of that data. So how do we do that? Maybe it's just by a query of a vector database. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about here, right? Because that's the most interesting here is the vector database. There are other ways to do it. For example, So, there's a website you can make these. It's great. I love it for presentations. So, for example, I am probably going to get to do a RAG project. It's completely internal. We'll be building our own internal LLM. But the whole idea of this is they have people that call every ma and pa pizzeria that uses our product in America, in the world, and talks to them personally every year. And if a call comes in, bam, it's routed. What they want to know, they have 30 years of note taking that's all entered into with some context. So the project is going to be give them a search thing that they can ask questions of while they're talking and probably pull some standard stuff out. Do they have kids? When are their birthdays? When's the anniversary? When is the anniversary of the restaurant? Which of our products do we use? We can get that information from, sales sometimes goes through third parties. But in any case, so there's a lot of that initial search. We can say where customer equals this, but then on top of that, we can use a vector database to pull data out as well. Okay, so we're going to actually do a little bit of RAG here. So, simple enough. And the first thing I got to do, I'll probably want to open up this a little wider. And let me pull up. There's my mouse, okay. Let's open this up. Sample data, I now have two things in here. Software engineering QA, kind of some real, like 26 questions and answers from software engineers. Pretty basic stuff. It gives us a second source. So what we want to do is, I'm forgetting the actual command. Is it load data? I think it's load dash data. Yep. Use it. Okay. So this will actually go through somewhat of a process.
If you look straight ahead, I don't know if you can see the screen right there. If you look straight, you can actually see the screen.
Oh, that works.
Can you see it really big or really small?
No in between.
I can actually read that. So, of course, it does it in like 1 second, right? But what it did is it actually used a standard embedder to create vectors for these. And so if we scroll up a little higher, well, that is actually quite useful. We can see the beginning.
What does that mean in standard and better? What is,
So,
or you explain that one?
okay, yeah, so let's talk about embedders. Everyone, so let's talk about vector databases. I think this is maybe my slides are out of order here, but we'll talk about vector databases right now. What are they? They are a way of reducing a paragraph or some number of some types of things, potentially sound.
I have a whole talk on what are embedded.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go real slight short here. It can be sound,
I
it
got
can be
math and
video.
everything.
Okay, perfect.
Here it is. Okay, so basically what it is, it's a way of turning something, some piece of digital data, into a meaningful set of numbers. In this case, we are
Like an array of 384 numbers that are,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, and so if I go up a little,
Whatever.
if I go up a little higher, I
Because we
think.
want to do math.
Right.
We must have numbers. So how do we get from a picture
Here we
to
go.
numbers or from words to numbers?
Because letters aren't numbers.
This is all zeros.
Yeah.
Wait a
They
second.
are the bit, but yeah.
go
I
a
think
little
I'll
higher.
That's too useful now.
Yeah.
So,
You have to talk about.
like, here, this was number in the first place, a bunch of zeros. This was number in the third place, a bunch of zeros. Right, but there's 384 different numbers. And then you use, well, I have a slide on this, so we'll come to that in a minute. Right? What we did though is we created these sorts of vectors that we can then use cosine distances and things like that, which we will get more information on in the next talk, which will be awesome. We can use that to find the things that are most similar. So, if I go over here and I do a,
N-dimensional vector distance.
Who knew that
We
would
just
actually be
watched
useful?
Despicable Me, so I can think of
Linear
this.
algebra was my favorite class.
okay, so now,
Yeah, this is actually kind of fun.
let's see.
I don't know what you got, so like, maybe we should have done.
Now we're going to search 26 plus 13 things. Wow. Impressive, huh? So this is actually going to do two things though, two searches. The first one is it's going to hit the local Postgres database with PG vector on it. That's what we're running locally. And by the way, this is all, I have a whole repository on GitHub you guys can play with. You can do this yourself, right? Instead of database keys, just a Docker compose, super simple. So here we are. So, but what I want to look at is not here. I want to look at the back end. And you'll see here that I scroll up a little bit, it picked several different things. First, it generated the query embedding. So that took the question and embedded that, made that into 384 dimensions, just like the data. Then it compared them and it found 5 similar content items. The first is doc2, the second one is doc18, doc1, and then I think one of these is from the, maybe not, from the other document. In any case, it searched the database and pulled out 5 different answers, question and answers, that it then loaded up and shoved just that out to Grok and got an answer back. So we retrieved a subset of our potential augmentation data and just sent the subset to Grok. Make sense?
Do you have like a limit set on it, or is it just pulling?
It's pulling everything that's reasonable. I don't think.
Well, it's like the 5 nearest neighbors or whatever
Okay.
in
Mhm.
vector space.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think it actually is 5.
Okay.
I think I actually pulled 5.
That makes sense.
So,
And it looks like the scores on them weren't like that high, but I don't know, right? Like 33.5
Yeah.
was the highest.
It's interesting, like Doc 4 is what is microservice architecture is like one of the most relevant pieces of documentation to our query. How important is a Scrum Master?
Yeah.
I bet it
yeah.
not vary, you know.
that's pretty
Yeah.
close.
Well, it's-
Even
yeah.
at a 33.5, yeah. So maybe
Now,
a different
if
embedding would have
you-
gotten us the closest number, because that's a pretty close search compared to what our request was. Yeah.
Or a broader knowledge base.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So I tried this with the USRPG wiki, the Elder Scrolls wiki, and
Mm-hmm.
it failed horribly because it would come back with actual lore, in-game lore books, like a dissertation on angry cheeses. And I was looking for like game mechanics,
yeah.
and I like there's too much non sequitur information in there that would relate too closely to the question. So
Did you try using different embedders?
I gave up on a completely different approach.
You know, yeah, what you have to do is probably find a way to use vectors to trim out data that's not important. Maybe, or maybe something else. Okay, this is just a quick preview of what we're going to get next week. So, I want to give a talk. I want to learn more about marker machines. That's what when I did the research those. Me too. I want to get into them. So there are these two Russians, right during the time of the Soviet Revolution. I'll give you the backstory, which is wonderful. One is two mathematicians. One is a Catholic priest with bad theology, and the other one is an atheist and a communist with better math. And so the guy with bad theology says, random selections don't, like, if you flip a coin 100 times, you're going to get 50 and 50 most of the time, right? Something like that. They don't work with dependent things, right? If the first thing depends on the next thing, depends on the next thing, that randomization process does not get you to averages. It doesn't work. That's what the Catholic guy said. The atheist guy said, no, they do, and went out and proved it. And a lot of people throughout the years have kind of built this up, especially into the early 80s and into the 90s. They were like generating like things close to language. Like, man, if we feed it these probabilities, we're going to get this thing that looks like actual words. Well, we now use these things to actually generate the language. If you look, when the guy who's in his bus right now, I can't think of his name right now, my friend. You know what I'm talking about. It's on vacation.
Oh, James.
James. When James gave his talk on first time building an AI, he had it so that it would stream back, you would see individual words come back. Because large language models don't generate entire thoughts. They generate one word at a time using Markov chains. And that to me is fascinating. So I'm going to dig into that. Maybe we'll give a talk on that sometime in the future. A vector is a series of numbers. There are ones for images. There are ones for sound and for other kinds of data as well, right? And so you can find, similar pictures. And some of these are designed to like look for similar style. And some of them are designed to look for things like,
Does it have a cat in it?
does it have a cat in it or not? Exactly, which is pretty wild. It's just, it blows me away, right? So,
it is weird that in a decade time,
yeah,
if someone had asked me, not that long ago, write a search engine that can tell you whether this picture has baseball in it or not. It just is not a thing that can be done. It's science fiction, and now it's trivial.
there is actually,
It was,
have
it
you
was
thought about
mentioned,
this?
it was in Silicon Valley, but
There is, hot dog, right? Is it a hot dog?
Yeah, hot dog.
It's not a hot dog, not a hot dog, right? What is it? Not a hot dog. There's actually an SKC comic from about that same era that says, it's something about like counting birds. Like, it's like the project goes from like, I did it in a couple days to like, it'll take for, like, I don't even know, could be years.
Heat
I
death
gotta
of the
raise
sun.
some. What?
Heat death of the sun. Feels
Yeah, exactly. It'd be longer.
Yeah.
And now we have it, right? Exactly, like identifying birds in pictures. It's like, wow. So done correctly, I'm not sure anyone has like the one algorithm that will work on text and sound, but I think the holy grail would be this. Done correctly, an image of a dog, a passage about dog training, and the sound of a barking dog will have some numbers similar in their vectors. We're not there yet, but I think that's where we're trying to get to, right? Where you can actually do a search for, on a picture of a dog, and return the sound of barking, things about training a dog. I think it's doable. I'm not sure how, but they've done what are like almost impossible things. This is my favorite one. Right? I should say embedding algorithm, but yeah, these small dogs, same thing. So, I should have put all this first, huh? Many companies are setting up vector databases, including their vectorized corporate data. So PG Vector is a great starting place. Hugging Face, especially if you're a Python guy. Yes.
On that note,
Yeah.
I'd say it's stronger than that. I think the vector database market is all gonna die.
Because PG Vector
Because
is so
PG
good.
vector is good enough
Yeah.
for reasonable latency and for really, if you don't care about latency, the S3 vector style buckets
Yeah.
are the cheapest thing by an order of magnitude. I'm using them in my product all the time. And if you actually need high latency, 100% in memory vector, but nobody needs it. PG vectors is like good enough.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of companies that grew enormous valuations very quickly. Now it's like, yeah. Postgres
Yeah.
extension.
Yeah. Postgres is amazing. Let's see. So if you take the question here, so this is what I've already done, right? If you take the question you're asking and vectorize it, and take the cosine similarity of all the data vectors in the database, you should find the most relevant data. Or dot product, Euclidean, Manhattan, Hamming distance, or Jacquard similarity are the most common methods outside of the cosine similarity. So then this small set of data is then used to augment the request to the LLM. So you pre-select the data you'll augment. And there she is. They all get good responses. Yay. And there is the GitHub if you want it right there. So play with it. Yeah? Questions? Ask him. Right.
If you were just starting with RAG and you use AWS, Bedrock has a RAG enhanced foundation models workflow already set up for you. So you basically just tell it, hey, there's an S3 bucket, we'll put stuff in there. Go ahead and put that in the vector database, which its default is to use the S3 vectors,
Sure.
which is cheap. And then you can talk to a foundation model, and it automatically has your RAG enhanced queries. Like there's zero programming to make.
It's
that
just
happen.
dump your data in S3.
Dump your data in an S3 bucket. It will be processed sometime.
Yep.
At some point, you don't have to know when,
Boom.
and all your queries are automatically updated with semantic search results. And you can tune it by setting properties on the S3 bucket. I mean, it's really like you add one parameter to your Bedrock query, and you get a nice RAG thing. And you have a pipeline set up already to, when your corpus of documents changes, how do you ingest new stuff and rebuild your data? One API call through the S3 bucket.
And as a bonus, you can also say you've done data lakes. That's exactly what it's doing for you.
So-
Basically, it's doing it for you, though.
Say that again, slower and different.
So, Bedrock is AWS's one of AWS's do AI stuff
Yeah.
sections. And in Bedrock, a thing you frequently do is, I just want to talk to a foundation model. I want to pick Grok or Sonnet or whatever and just ask it a question.
Oh, that's right, because they host.
They host their own
own
models.
version
Yes,
of
so I get my SOC 2 compliance stuff. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
going anyplace else.
Yeah.
Ah.
If you wish that you could build a RAG pipeline, they have a pre-made RAG pipeline where you go through and give it the name of the bucket where you're going to store documents. It creates an S3 vector bucket for you. And so if you upload a PDF to the S3 input bucket, it processes that and refreshes its vector database. And as long as you use...
So it's building a vector database of the things you put in the S3 bucket.
That's right, automatically.
You brought spreadsheets in there.
And
from
so
the
now when I
context
ask my
of this.
foundation model, hey, can you tell me stuff about my company's internal proprietary software? Yes, it can, because my
That's what
context.
I'm not getting is how it.
So it
So the
upgrades
RAG tool call is built into the
Yeah.
model.
So when I call Bedrock, I'm calling a specific model,
Okay.
which is just a foundation model plus this thing
This
that I set out.
data in
I
this
don't get
bucket.
like how the RAG is plumbed in.
And all RAG really is just imagine I ask it, hey, can you tell me about the central class? And it says, let's take your prompt and say, given the following 17 code snippets, answer the following
It's-
question.
It's
Right,
not
no,
like
I get that.
AWS is literally doing what he wrote, like that little bit of
Yeah,
code
that thing
he
I wrote, or
AWS is just doing that to plumb between it.
doing a query on a vector database to find the most relevant pieces of data, and then shoving that up into or over into an LLM.
Yeah, I
The
get
same
RAG.
user.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, so, okay.
So when I
They've
use-
automated the tool call. Just
They've
the tool call.
automated the whole
I
thing.
take what was previously a Bedrock Foundation model tool call, and I change the model name in it,
Okay.
and that's it. I have RAG, and I don't even have to understand vector databases or understand
Yeah.
what model they're
I
using.
mean, I know all the pieces and I've done this differently. I was just like, how does that just happen?
It's AWS's magic,
Yeah.
right? So yeah.
So you can put a bunch of sensitive data into that bucket.
Yes, because it never leaves,
Because it never leaves. Interesting.
Yeah.
which I need. I have SOC 2 data
Yeah,
compliance.
yeah, yeah. Or like when I got
Yeah, because now,
gigabytes of download from a due diligence that I can't query easily.
Right,
Like we
you
threw
can't,
some of
you
it in
can't train
ChatGPT.
a chat GPT and do it on a,
There's not enough room, so we have like an enterprise
You know what? That
version,
may
an
actually
enterprise
work
version
for
of
my client.
ChatGPT, but so like I can put stuff into it and it's okay to use it, but I
They'll
can't
want
put
it.
20 gigabytes into ChatGPT.
and ridiculously, so the S3 vector support is closing beta at the end of this month, but they have not even been charging for it. Like they're gonna start
So I
charging
could
next month.
charge, I could
You're
drop
getting
all
it
20
now.
gigabytes and just been paying.
Well,
the
you can,
money
it's still, it's penny, it's super cheap
Yeah.
compared to most vector databases, but you can use like the cost
Yeah.
estimator to see how much it's gonna
Yeah.
cost, but they haven't even, they're like, it doesn't even matter, They're like,
That's true.
just do whatever you want for free,
Surrounding error.
for 6 months, yeah, for the past 6 months, it's been free.
Alright, so I need to
That's
tell my people that that's what we should use instead of ChatGPT. Because we can still use ChatGPT 5 on that, I assume, through Foundation.
You can use foundation models, so, yeah,
Now,
I'm using the most of Anthropic.
they don't have,
Yeah.
they don't have
We use
Grok in there,
ChatGPT.
do
we're
they?
open
I don't
it.
believe they have
Yeah,
Grok.
because Grok is very proprietary, the other ones are open, like ChatGPT's open source.
We have a bunch of Claude, AWS has its own models.
Yeah,
So like if you
Well-
want to use a specific AWS model for doing your text embeddings, for instance,
Yep.
you can pick. They've got a whole catalog basically.
OpenAI and Anthropic have both released the weights to AWS for them to host.
So AWS is running the model on AWS
Those are
infrastructure.
open
Yeah,
source.
yeah, yeah.
So I can say, hey, we're not training anybody else's. Nobody else is ever getting access to a model that's been trained on your data. Your data's never leaving my data warehouse. You know, that whole
yeah, exactly.
compliance thing.
Well, I'll tell you, this has, we all know this has happened so fast. And it's, I mean, I continue to use, to do a lot of, because I've been out of work for 3 months. I've done 3 months of vibe coding on Cursor, and I will tell you, Cursor has grown over those 3 months by leaps and bounds.
What are you using as your backing model?
That's my what?
Your backing model for Cursor.
I just use, whatever their default is. I don't even give it my own thing. I use I think they're using
I don't know
Anthropic.
what they're using.
Yeah, I think you're
Okay.
using Claude
Yeah.
4,
But I mean, to the point where you can give it an incredibly complex task. I want you to build a website that does this, and this. And it'll create a list for itself, and then just go down the list, and just build it knows how
Oh,
to
that's
break this
Claude.
down.
That's Claude.
That's Claude, yeah, it is. But I
Claude,
think they have their own, I think they have
they have a layer.
their own, it's very agentic, right? Different agents are handling different
But
things,
I
right?
don't know that that's all model, baked in the model, like Visual Studio Code is the same, they released an update and it's in the plugin itself.
Can I turn this towards us so that,
Grabbing, like,
can I turn this?
Huh?
So that we can record the conversation there?
Yeah, there's a crazy. I mean, it's funny because people are releasing sort of like AI applications that all they are is one giant prompt injection.
Yeah.
There's a repo
Yeah.
you can install for Claude that
Yeah.
puts Claude like always in plan mode, tells it about, well now skills is like official, but skills, plans, sets up like prompts it, then always what I want to do is discuss, generate a plan file, approve the
Yeah.
plan file, have a project it has this whole flow baked in.
Yeah.
So Claude behaves completely differently when I'm running it. And all it is a bunch of text. It's like
Yeah.
stuff all this in the prompt
Yeah.
whenever anybody asks you a question.
So I posted a little bit in the Discord, and
I need to watch that.
so that talk from LangChain made me feel really good because so I built a multi-agent workflow, or like sub-agent workflow and added in, which I mean you can just write it in LangChain, but it's easier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm doing new stuff. I'm doing cool stuff. That's great. And it's insane. And this is stupid. It's a like tabletop campaign lore master, right? But I ran into that problem of I search a vector database that has both all the lore books for Elder Scrolls, plus all the character sheets, and the vector closeness of things would be too close because they're out of context. And not that they're out of context, but like they're close, but it's not the thing that I want to know about. Like I'm asking about a character in my campaign, I don't care about a lore book. So I'm like, okay, now I need to like categorize all this information.
Yeah, so you're
almost like you want a custom
Well,
embedder
so-
or a
well,
database layer. or
So I ended
something
up
like
just saying, forget about the vector store, which it could be faster with that, but it didn't matter. I have, and they're all in different sources. I converted everything to Markdown, put them in Obsidian, and I wrote an MCP server for Obsidian that lets you do section searches
there you go.
and standardize the format for all the character sheets. But then I made 3, so there's the like front end agent,
A lot of work.
I know. It was fun. It was for work. Because I'm really building a 3PL customer service agent thing, but I'm using
It's the test web.
using tabletop games to test or to train myself.
That's awesome.
So
There you go.
but so it's the pattern of the front end agent. I have it prompted to break it into 3 different prompts. This is like you need lore questions answered to answer the user's question. Do you need character information, or do you need like session or campaign history? And then each of those agents has tool calls specifically for pulling the character sheets, lore, blah blah blah.
Exactly.
And that, so I was running that. This is tip of the hat for you. I was trying to run it locally first, and like if I could get enough context in there that it could answer the question, then it would fail the tool calls. And if I could get the tool calls to work right, then it was just giving stupid results. So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just throw some, $5 at it and do OpenAI. I did that, and as soon as I got enough context from the responses in the sub agents,
Kind of snapped into place.
well, no.
Oh.
If I had enough context in there, I would hit a rate limit, and there's no good way to do rate limiting in N8N. So I was just hitting rate limit, like, oh, it's about to answer. I'm watching like the third agent, sub agent get the response back. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. And then we hit the one-shot writer at the end, and it's like, oh, you hit the API limit, screw you, and it would die. Like, you know what? Nate's like, Grok is amazing. So I set up an XAI account. The heavens parted, the sky. So it was. I could show you on Discord some of the responses it gave, and it's amazing. It's just like a
I think
different
Grok
universe
4 is a game utter, and they're already working on Grok 5. Remember I was talking early on about how it's volume of context. How many tokens can you put in there, right?
That
Like, for
was
example,
probably the big thing too.
that was probably your big thing, was maybe number of tokens even as much as credits. But it's like, here, pull up. I think I had that page out, but I have a billion browsers up all the time, so.
Close everything every day.
That's what corporate IT makes me do, Chris. So
I'm gonna pull
That's
this.
right. I will reboot your computer.
No, I have a Mac. You can't do that.
I will reboot your computer.
I close everything once
I have
a week.
H on Macs too.
Oh, you know what?
I've
No,
done
you know
Oh, I have
what?
that
It
already.
did threaten me. It
Have
did threaten
bankruptcy.
me. It was like, it's
Yeah.
gonna, no,
Okay.
we can
You know,
restart
it's
at
cool.
1 p.m. Pacific. And I was like, that's the middle
It's
of
because you turn it off at night and I can't reboot it.
Yeah.
I will reboot your
Alright, look at
computer.
this though. Look at this. 2 million
Yeah.
That's pretty
allowed in context. Right? 2 million tokens.
That lane chain
That's
talk.
words, not characters, words.
Yeah, that lane chain talk, they refer to even models like Grok, where there's a claimed, I think Gemini has like 1 million context window, that kind of stuff. They're like, they're calling it context rot. Even in those models, after like 200,000 or so tokens,
It doesn't really work.
weird things start happening. It starts forgetting how to do tool calls, it starts hallucinating, that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but so they actually they talk about some really cool stuff that I hadn't thought of doing. Context compression. So you have an agent, if the context window gets too big, right, you give it to an agent, summarize this, but then leaving breadcrumbs and storing the original context.
Yeah.
So if you're like, okay, I need to rehydrate this thing that I've
Yeah.
compressed.
Steve Gag, who I follow on Twitter, and I just like, either he's just nuts and crazy, or he's living about 12 months in the future. Describes what a lot of people have experienced, where you go to make and he's making like broad sweeping changes with armies of sub-agents. And you come up with a plan, and there's 14 steps, and you do step 1, and like review, and then the test, and it works, and you do step 2. About step 7, it starts hallucinating, and like, oh, I think I'm done. It's like, wait, what? And it is like all the previous stuff has to be in the context, and so he's like, the previous solution is I have a plans directory that has 492 half-rotting markdown files.
Yeah.
His current suggestion is he quickly built, by AI vibe coding, a bug tracker to be used by AI, not by humans. And so whenever it does plans, like it makes a campaign, it builds a bunch of bugs in the bug tracker that capture the context, and then you can MCP to the bug tracker
Oh,
from
there.
your AI.
That's hilarious.
That's like one shot.
MCP, that's what I was
That's
talking
one
about
shot
also.
installable.
Yeah.
And so when you're executing your plan, it's like, oh yeah, you have your markdown that's like do X, but it doesn't have the in plain text list of the 32 different things with the code samples for all. That's all in the bug tracker, which persists across, is shared shared memory for all your agents and sub-agents.
But
Not
Have you
necessarily
That's
install
basically
these.
what I've been doing with Claude, and I'm like in my agents is like when you plan, make sure you write everything here, and it writes in a markdown file, and then we'll reread it, and I'll say
Right, and then you
pass it
can
to
like
the
clear.
agents.
No,
Yes,
read this
and
markdown file. We're going to execute.
Because it starts to lose it. Yeah,
Right.
if I
Yeah.
download
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
a few steps, it just has no idea what it's doing anymore.
Yeah.
Have you tried the Copilot coding agent in GitHub?
The like one where you
Just
open
try
a
it for
machine.
fun. It's really interesting. It's a totally different. I hate the Copilot branding because
I don't know what Copilot is.
I know it's so
I
stupid.
haven't-
Copilot.
It's in my Outlook.
I know.
Can
I
I
have a
code- can you
Copilot
write
business
code for it?
license because they wanted to try it. It's so bad. It's bad because the governance are wrapped around it. You're like, can you compose an email and put it in my drafts? It says yes, I'd love to do that for you. Do you want me to do that right now? Yes, I do that. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Well, I have like a client email and I have my corporate email. And my
Yeah.
corporate email does not have Copilot, but as soon as I click to the client one, then it'll work. But I still think it's sort of half governed by corporate IT.
Yeah,
When I click summarize,
it's
it doesn't
bonkers.
summarize it.
So if you create a repository in GitHub with nothing in it or whatever, and then open an issue, I want to write a piece of software that does this or whatever. Open existing one, create an issue, and then where you click to assign a person, if you click that, Copilot is an option. And if you assign Copilot to that issue, it will create a branch and start working that issue.
Yeah.
And it is I'm not saying like it's the best thing ever, but it is a really interesting experience to watch. If you have GitHub
It's
Actions,
really in the. I'm creating a repository right
In
now.
the web
it's in
interface.
the web. It's in
It's-
the, like jumpstart your project with Copilot. Like it says like.
You
He's
can
saying
do that.
create an issue.
No.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
but
creating
some
a
of those-
repository, but there's literally a text box here.
Okay.
Yeah. But so if you have GitHub Actions and with like the full dev environment to do testing and whatnot,
Yeah.
it will Docker compose or whatever, spin everything up for you, run the test that you specified, everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
So here's the real question: how much longer are we gonna work? I mean, seriously, I'm starting to get really concerned about it.
And
I think
one, there's too much old legacy software around, and two, you still have to have a human that knows what to write.
I agree,
It's more of a
but what I'm saying is, a year ago we were saying, it's not that great. I mean, I was saying it's great. We got, it's not that great. It's gonna be greater. It's gonna be great. And a year ago we couldn't have believed what things like Copilot or Cursor. Cursor is just this iterative monster that just runs through these checklists and just solves problems. If you can tell it right. So that's the big thing right now is if you can describe the problem correctly. So I still think those of us who are able to work with vibe coding and that kind of stuff well will understand the little tricks and have enough knowledge about underlying code, how to tell it how to build the indexes and how to build the databases. And it's pretty good, but you gotta fix that stuff and tell it what to do. I think that there's work for us still. I'm old enough that I'm hoping I'll be able to retire before I am retired.
Yeah.
So,
Which
yeah.
I'll give Skynet the idea since it's watching this Discord right now. The day that is it totally possible today that an agent is set up and is reading all my emails and Teams messages and all that kind of stuff or whatever, and knows all of the business related requests and even conversations, not even requests, but just things being talked about,
Yeah.
that then it synthesizes those and says, what is a thing that could be done, which is what I do all the time. What can I build that will make the people I'm talking to's lives easier? And spins up a repository, writes that piece of code without me prompting it, then I'm completely out of it.
That's cool.
I don't think it's that far.
synthetic intelligence or whatever, right? Like human level
It opened up
intelligence.
it opened up a draft.
AGI, right?
AGI.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's pretty
If
cool.
nothing else, it's fun to watch.
Well, because I have a Mac OS app that I'd like to build, that I like to just do like simple packet monitoring, and
Yeah.
I don't want to use terminal app. I want to just do it. So I asked to build.
I'll just tell
You
it.
can
Ah,
there's a watch the session button or whatever, and so you can click that, and you'll see it, kind of talking to itself and all the tool
Yeah, that's
calls.
Oh yeah, that's the best part.
Okay, so speaking of, sometimes I can't tell if I'm reading the works of a madman. I'm reading this blog post about using subagents and all these workflows, and he's got it set up so that
Are you sure you're a real person?
yes, he has Claude writing a feelings journal. So it's capturing how it felt about the process of working.
Wait, what?
I'm not kidding. I start, is this
I'm
a
doing that.
satire? Wait, is this?
I'm doing that.
But it gets
That's
fed
funny.
back into the prompt because it has it. The prompt for the feelings journal is basically like, if there was any friction expressed by the user, figure out what in the communication and don't make that mistake again. And so it evolves its style to be like less.
Okay.
It's self-prompting itself to
It's
be less verbose over time.
Microsoft View or whatever it is.
I'm reading this going like, I'm now reading the journal written by an AI about how it feels working with Bob. I can't. I won't. I'm not a programmer. I'm a programmer, not a robot psychologist. You know.
Yeah.
Somebody on Twitter tweeted a list of like, here's my top 10 favorite new Bash utilities, and it was kind of a like you should be replacing stuff with Bash, stuff that's written in C with stuff that's written in Rust for your kind of Bash toolkit. And I kind of looked at it, and you know, there's an interesting diff formatter that's definitely better, but doesn't rock my world or anything. The number one tool on it was FZF, which is a fuzzy finder, and I tried it, and I have been using it 100% of the time for two scenarios. Here's my two scenarios. I'm in the root of a large code base, and I know that I want to open a file that has tests for endpoints. Unfortunately, every single module has a test endpoints file, and there's a bunch of long paths. So I want to. Maybe I want to run the tests for that file. I'm typing Control T, and I'm looking for a file called test endpoints. Okay, there are a bunch of test endpoints. I'll jump back to the beginning of my search and start typing like channels, and the one that has chan in it and also test input in it is there, and I hit enter, and it subs it into my command line. So just
Oh wow.
like any parts in order, it has to be in order, but any parts that are substring matches, you could type like 3 characters.
Does this work with Z Shell as well?
Yes.
I'm in.
Okay, and then
So you were getting that from tab completion or from?
I typed, so you can replace tab completion if you want. You can also use ** and then hit tab complete. Or what I chose to do was install Control T as a shortcut
Okay.
to like at the point find a file. The other shortcut I chose to install. Let's say I don't want to do that. You know what? I actually ran a testing command sometime in the past, and so I would type like Control R and type test, which would show me the last test command, and then I could like start arrowing up through my history, which is going to take me a while to find the exact one that I want. So instead I could type Control R, and I did test in, but then I did some kind of like -K specifier for a test, and there's all the times that I've used dash, type K, there we go, test. It's just there we go, there's the one that I was looking for some time ago. 50.
Oh wow, it's just by
I typed that whole,
pieces.
and all I typed was the test in, that was at the start, and I had a -K where I limited it and part of the match, and great, I have that command pulled up, and if I want to edit it, I can, or I can run it.
Alright, give us the goods. How do we install this?
But
What is this black magic?
FZF, go to its website, you can download a statically compiled binary. It has put this line in your bash RC for bash, put this line in your Z shell for Z shell.
FZ.
FZF.
Who
Yeah.
uses Z shell? Why does it even exist?
Doesn't Mac like have it by default?
Yeah, it's by default in your Mac.
Wait, is it?
Yeah. It's hideous.
Compared to.
Is this cherry blossom?
Cherry blossom, that is it, yep. And this is my HDMI to USB-C. Anyway, there were like 10 tools, and a couple of them were like, oh, that's nice. And
This one is like,
I tried it out, but I didn't install the shortcuts. I was like, oh, I want to go run that FCF command, but then I have to like use my mouse to copy it, and like this is stupid. And I went to look at it and you probably want one of these auto completion things, but you gotta paste this line yourself. And I haven't looked back. I use that 100 times a day.